At some oh man. All right, there we go. All right, we just want to welcome everybody this evening. Those of you who are joining, it's good to see you. I see Charmel. Good to see you, Erica. All right, I'm seeing some names I recognize here. Good to see you all today, Felicia. All right, I just want to welcome everybody who is coming in. Tanisha, oh man, we have a great training scheduled for today, and we're going to get into it in just a little bit. We do want to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started, and let's do that. So, um, and we've got people coming in, so I'm letting everybody in. But I do want to uh, let you know that we have been doing pretty good with getting these CEUs out. We ask you to give us at least until the end of the week. But we've been getting them out a lot faster than that. I don't want to say how fast because something might happen and we're not able to meet expectations. But we want to make sure we meet expectations because we're glad that you're taking your time to be here. So a lot of times we may have some individuals who really enjoyed the training and ask like, do you have that on video where I could check it out and things like that. And so I do want to notify you all that we do have this the training on YouTube. And so I started a YouTube channel some time ago, and I'm trying to get the link for it. In the event that you would like to view it on YouTube just at your own discretion on your own time, um, you can do that. Of course, we it wouldn't be for credit for CEU, but you would be able to view the training. And I know the training that we had last week, last month was just super awesome. And actually, I don't even think we posted that yet. But we're gonna try to get that with a frequency to where if you need to jump in and check out the training, where you can access that if you choose. Let me type this in the chat real quick. And then while I'm doing this, I would like to notify you. Um, oh, yeah, mic is not. I'm sorry, y'all can't hear me. Sorry about that. So I would like to notify you. I'm putting this in the chat right here, and forgive me for the multitask. That we have another CEU scheduled for next month. Okay, we haven't gotten that posted just yet, but we will have that shortly posted. And the topic is going to be on the ties that bind caregiving quality of care and quality of life. And so that will be our next continuing education training. And that will be on November the 19th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And we have the pleasure of having Dr. Nancy Kelly, who is going to be presenting to us on this topic. So you all don't want to miss that. All right. Um, and but we have something scheduled for you all tonight, and we want to get on into it. If you can give me a moment, we're going to do just that. Um, and we are excited to be speaking or to have a speaker that will be talking to us about gaining the social work benefits, the importance of the NASW. All right. And so this is we're excited to have Rena Ross to present to us. And I'm gonna pull out her bio and read it to you in just a second here. All right. And I thought I had all this set up, y'all. I'm so sorry. Give me one moment.
While Choya is looking for my
Thank
bio,
you.
no, it's totally fine. I'm going to say it's actually Renee, but The way
Renee,
it's
I'm
spelled, it
sorry.
looks Rena, but it's Renee. So while he's looking for that,
Thank you so much.
no problem.
Yes. All right. This is the worst, and I'm a perfectionist, so this is killing me. Um, all right. Well, we're gonna go and get started with the bio. Um, wow. Miss Renee Ross has been with the Federal Defender Office in the Middle District of Alabama since 2006. She is currently the Trial Unit Chief Investigator, where she not only oversees the work of the other investigative staff, but also manages a caseload conducting both. And she is going to we've talked just a little bit before we got started, and I'm excited because I think that there definitely needs to be more education about what NASW offers, how they're involved in the community of social work, especially in Alabama. And Renee is the perfect person to speak to, considering that she is a part of this great institution. And so, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over because we're already 7 minutes in, and we're going to turn it over to you, Renee. Thanks so much for presenting for us this evening.
You're very welcome, and thank you for that amazing introduction. And I'm going to correct you a second time and say that I am not the expert on anything by any means. So I'm just going to give you all a little bit of information that I know, and I'm going to talk from personal experience about things that I think have benefited me. And as I'm getting started, I'm going to have a PowerPoint, and Choi and I were kind of playing around with it a bit before we got started. So I apologize if you all can't see it. Please put it in the chat or raise your hand, and someone will be monitoring that. And so I do apologize for that as well. And the last thing that I will say before I get started is I want to point out the executive director of NASW Alabama and Mississippi is on the Zoom with us, Dr. Gwen Bowie Haynes. So she is actually the expert. So if I can't answer the question, I'm going to punt to her, and she definitely can back me up. So we'll get started. As Troya said, what we're going to be talking about this evening is the benefits of NASW. And I want to start by saying I have been a social worker for about 28, almost 29 years now. And I will be the first to say that I don't know it all. And being a seasoned social worker, I've had lots of experiences. I've worked in various places. But you're going to hear over and over again that being a social worker means you are a lifelong learner. And that is the truth. And so, in being a lifelong learner, I think that it is very important that you are mindful about where you are learning your information from. And so that's why I want to start tonight with why the NASW is so important. So, hold on a second, let me start sharing my screen with you all. Can you all see the PowerPoint that's on the screen? Okay. So the first thing that I want to start with are our objectives for the evening. So what our objectives are going to be, I want to educate you all as much as possible about the origin of NASW and its role. I also want to be able to define the importance of seeking and maintaining membership in this professional organization. I want to talk about the benefits and services that are provided by NASW. And also, I want you all to understand how to join and how to maximize the benefits that are offered. With any organization that you join, if you don't know what's offered and you are not fully taking advantage of what's being offered, then you're not getting the full benefit. So I want to make sure that if you all want to become a part of this amazing organization, that you are fully getting everything that it has to offer. As with anything that we do in social work, we are guided by the NASW Code of Ethics. And so when we're talking about, and we hear it all the time, with social workers, you hear Code of Ethics, Code of Ethics. Well, the Code of Ethics came from the National Association of Social Workers. They are the governing body that came up with the code of ethics that we follow. And so I want to just start with this slide because I think it is so important. The code of ethics, professional recognition and respect. NASW member social workers affirm the NASW Code of Ethics, a guide to professional conduct that includes specific ethical standards for social work practice and provides a basis for adjudication. So, whenever there are any questions about anything that we should be doing as far as the practice, we should always defer to the NASW Code of Ethics. I am a member of Social Workers of Alabama, and that's how I met Choya, and that's why I'm here tonight. And I will tell you that there are questions that come through that chat all day, every day. And some questions I'm proud to say that, seasoned colleagues are able to answer and everything. But if you ever have any question about what you should be doing or how you should be doing it, you should always refer to the Code of Ethics for that. So, NASW, why do we need it? So let's talk about that for a really quick second. And let me say, I want this to be interactive. And so as I'm talking, if there are any questions or comments, please raise your hand. I can't see everybody that's on, but the chat is being monitored. But so if there are any questions, please chime in at any time because I want this to be a discussion. I don't want to be just here reading things to you for the next 45 minutes. But NASW and its mission. NASW was founded in 1955. We are an organization of at least 120,000 members. So that means over 120,000 social workers. That's amazing. That's amazing. The purpose of the NASW is to enhance the professional growth and development of its members, to create and maintain professional standards, and to advance sound social policies. The NASW has 55 chapters. We are financially overseen by the national NASW. When you join the NASW, it's kind of twofold. You join on the national level, but by becoming a national member, you also are given membership into your local state chapter. So you do not have to pay dues. And I have a slide further down about dues and things like that. But there are not separate membership dues for the national chapter and the state chapter. Once you pay that one national fee, you are automatically a member of your local Alabama chapter. The NASW chapters offers members a variety of continuing education, CEUs, advocacy efforts, and professional networking opportunities. So I want to stop there in talking about the mission of the NASW. And this is kind of focused at some of the non-seasoned social workers. When you are in college, in undergrad or graduate school, you have the security of professors and other people that you can go to bounce ideas off of, and you are a part of that community. But it's a collegiate community. And, after you graduate from college, you step out into this big world to become this amazing social worker that you've been taught how to be. And with that being said, what the NASW offers is almost kind of a security blanket. Because once again, me being a seasoned social worker, like I said, I don't know it all. But definitely when I graduated from undergrad in 1996, I didn't know anything. And I would be amazed that, I would think, oh my gosh, people are actually trusting me to make a decision about people's lives and their families and their children. And I felt that as far as the education, I was prepared for that, but I don't know that I was prepared for all that came with that. And so, and I don't know, or I definitely know, I'm not going to say I don't know. At the time, I did not understand the importance of having an organization that would stand with me and behind me in the decisions that I was making. And so that's what I want to say. When you start your practices and you start, working in social work, you want to have a body behind you that can guide what you're doing. Because I promise you, there are going to be a million things that you didn't learn in the textbooks. There are going to be a million things that, that you just don't know. And so to have somebody that's there to support you, to be able to show you those things, I think is the benefit just, it's beyond amazing. So that would be the mission of NASW. So let's talk about purpose again. And I'm sorry you all can see my notes, but they're there. When we're talking about the purpose of NASW, um, it's a professional organization dedicated to supporting and advancing the field of social work. Its purpose is multifaceted. It's aimed at both promoting the profession and providing resources to social workers to help them serve their clients and communities effectively. So I want to go back to something that I just said a moment ago as far as social workers not knowing anything or not knowing everything. Our licensing body, they make sure that if you are a licensed social worker, that you are responsible for obtaining continuing education hours every 2 years to maintain your license. And so that, and that's wonderful, because what the purpose of that is to make sure that we are continuing to educate ourselves on the changing trends that are happening in our societies. That's what the NASW does as well. The NASW is on the forefront nationally of things that are being argued. There are so many issues that are going on in our country right now. And NASW is that national body that speaks for social workers. So I know that some people agree and some people disagree with NASW stance. Some people feel like NASW should be doing more. And we'll get into all that later because I have a questions, area. But I want to say that the purpose of the NASW is sound. But an organization is only as good as its members. And so, being members of the NASW, if I want to see change or if I want to see things done differently, I have to be able to do the work. I just can't rely on another body that's over me to decide what's best for me. We have to do the work. And as social workers, it's not enough for us just to get the degrees. We have to get the degree and then do the work. If there are changes that we want to see made in our communities, this is where it starts. And we'll talk some in a little bit about our local Alabama chapter as well. But I just want to stress that. And, we can't totally just rely on the national office to do all the things that we want to be done. And just, when they don't do it, we gripe and complain about it. Well, let's talk about why it's not being done. Let's talk about what else you would want to see done. Those are things that go into the actual work of being a member of NASW. So, with that being said, advocacy for social workers and social justice. We are in an era right now where social justice is a must. It's something that we cannot take for granted. Social justice is not a given. And so we have to be able to do what is required to make sure that those individuals that can't always advocate for themselves, that they have somebody that's speaking for them on their behalf. So NASW advocates for policies that benefit social workers, their clients, and society at large. This includes lobbying for legislation related to social justice, healthcare, childcare, mental health, and human rights. And one thing that I will say, and we'll once again talk about the local chapter in just a moment, but I am proud to say that whenever we have legislative days here in Alabama, the local chapter is there at the front, arguing and supporting bills that benefit social workers. And I'm so glad I mentioned that our executive director, Dr. Gwen, is on. She was one of the persons that was at the forefront of working with the Interstate Compact, the Compact Act. She was at the forefront of social workers being able to diagnose. Those are things that we have talked about for years, And I am one that thought it was never going to change. But what it took advocacy to make those things happen. It had to be more than just, oh, I wish we could do these things. You have to have people that are there on the local and the national level advocating for these things. Also, with the purpose of the NASW, professional development and education, lifelong learners. NASW provides ongoing education opportunities, including webinars, workshops, conferences, to help social workers maintain and enhance their skills. Out of the 50 chapters that are in the United States, every chapter usually has a yearly conference. And at those conferences, a various or variety of topics are put on to make sure, once again, that we are well-rounded, making sure that we are being educated on trending things or things that are changing in our communities. Setting ethical standards. The NASW publishes and maintains the Code of Ethics for Social Workers, which outlines our professional standards. So whether you are a member of NASW or not, you are still bound by the NASW Code of Ethics and Standards. And so you need to know what it is you're bound by. You need to know what it is that's governing you. It's not enough to say that, yes, NASW Code of Ethics is what determines what I do. Well, if you don't know what it says, how do you know what to do and what not to do? Support and resources for members. The NASW provides a variety of resources such as practice tools, legal support, research materials to assist social workers in their roles. Members have access to a range of benefits, including career services, liability, and access to community of professionals for networking and support. So one thing that I will say how that personally assisted me, I've been out of undergrad for several years at this point. So I don't have access to a university library or journal articles. Well, being a member of NASW, I do. And so in the course of my work, if I want to research a journal article on whatever, I can just put it in the search engine and it's there. And to me, that is a huge benefit because sometimes it's not enough for Renee Ross to say it. But if I can pull a professional journal that shows this is the research that's been done and this is what supports what I'm saying, that gives legitimacy to what I'm saying to whomever it is I may be trying to educate. Promotion of the social work profession. The organization works to raise awareness about the importance of social work and the impact social work has on individuals, families, and communities. I can't see your hands once again, but if I were to ask the participants on this call, how many of your family members or friends or colleagues, whatever, know what you do? As social workers, what we do is so broad and it's so vast. We do so many things. And so in promoting this profession, this body allows us to do that in an organized manner. We advocate for recognition of social workers. The work that we do is so important. And it's unfortunate that as social workers, we do the work, but we don't always get the recognition that we deserve. We do the work, we keep our heads down because we are passionate about helping people. We are passionate about making the world a better place. But when you look at who's doing the work, it's us. It's us. And so we need this governing body to be able to recognize the work that we're doing. The NASW also supports research efforts and advanced knowledge of our profession. And then just community building, network, knowing someone that does what you do or someone who may be able to do something that you don't know how to do. So having network opportunities, are amazing once again, because I go back to this phrase that I said 10 minutes ago, we don't know everything, but collectively, there's always going to be someone that knows something. So that's, to me, the main purpose of NASW. And as social workers who have gone to undergrad, graduate school, doctoral schools, this is our professions. The NASW is the largest group of social workers. As I said, 120,000 plus members, 16,000 student members, and 55 local chapters. When I go back or when I think about being a part of an organization such as this, I am particularly moved by that number, 160,000 plus members. That's a lot of education. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of people that are doing the work. And I'm not saying that you have to be a part of this organization to do the work. But what I'm saying is having the backing of that many people in an organization means something. I will say that, I testify in court quite a bit. And that's one of the things that comes up. What professional organizations am I a member of? And I proudly say the National Association of Social Workers, because once again, when I am speaking and I'm giving my opinion about a matter, it's not just Renee Ross's opinion, it's my opinion based on what the NASW provides. It's my opinion based on the guidance of the NASW. So once again, it provides extra credibility to the work that we do and the work that we do. So in talking about membership, 90% of NASW members hold master's degrees in social work. 93% of all NASW members maintain some sort of license, certification, or registration in their state. 70,000 also hold advanced credentials from NASW. So let me pause on that for just a moment. One thing that NASW does offer is certifications in particular specific areas. And so if you wanted to provide treatment or work in, I don't know, individuals with behavioral disorders, and there was a specific certification for that, NASW offers that. When you go onto the website, and once again, this is utilizing the benefits of what they have. When you go onto the website, they tell you all these. They tell you all the certifications that they offer on in a gamut of ways. So that is really, really important. The membership in the National Association of Social Workers is highly beneficial for social workers as it provides them with essential resources, support, and opportunities that contribute to their professional growth and effectiveness. And so I've talked about some of these things before, but access to resources, adherence to ethical standards, networking and community, and advocacy and policy influence. I was talking to Choya once again. I'm sorry, let me move on just a little bit first, and then I'll go back to my thought. Advocacy, NASW shapes legislation and policy. Once again, if we want to see laws and policies change, it's not enough just to wish for it. We have to do the work, and that's what social workers are doing. Ethics, we've talked about that. Continuing education, we've talked about that as well. And publications, where I mentioned the journals. And what I was about to say a moment ago is, before we got started, I was talking to Choya about, why people don't join NASW. And I was telling him that I work with social workers that I supervise, and some of them are not members. And of course, I'm on the NASW board, so I want to know, well, why are you not members? And the responses that they gave me is that they feel like that sometimes the National Association does not speak for them. And they also told me that they don't see what they get out of it. Well, I want to speak to that for just a moment. And definitely, I want any responses or questions at this time about this. What do you get out of NASW? I think you get out of NASW kind of what you put into it. But one of the main things that you get out of NASW is correct information. I am a member of Social Workers of Alabama, and it is a wonderful, wonderful platform. I have gone in, I've asked questions of other social workers that are a member of the group. I follow the group, and I've had individuals refer people to me that are in the group to address certain questions about things. But what I want to say is that we want to make sure as social workers that we are giving and providing accurate information. Accurate information. And Social Workers of Alabama, like I said, is an amazing group, and I'm a part of it because I do think it's an amazing group. But we want to make sure that we are both receiving and giving accurate information. We want to make sure that the information that we're given, like I said, especially new social workers, that we're giving them truthful information about what they should and should not be doing. Because sometimes it's really easy on a social media platform to respond to something really quickly without giving it a lot of thought. And so we always want to make sure that yes, we may respond to that. We want to make sure that we are referring them, hey, check with your local licensing board, check with NASW. You know, I'm telling you what I know based on my experience, but I also want you to check with those things as well. Because I would never ever want to give someone advice or information and whatever I said causes their license to be in jeopardy or anything like that. So as we're talking about, one of the main purposes of NASW, the accuracy of what we do definitely is there. And so, along with Social Workers of Alabama, it is my hope, and I mentioned this to our director months ago, that we could collaborate in some way. Because I do think that both organizations are really good. And it's important as far as what we do. So let's talk about maximizing the benefits. And I've mentioned that a couple of times. To make the most out of your membership with NASWs, these are a few things that we do as a whole. Continuing education, and I keep bringing that up a lot because number one, you have to have the continuing educations to keep your license, to renew your license, and number two, if you are a member of Social Workers of Alabama, there's always a question about where can I get CEUs? There's always a question about where can I get this? And also, if you are following our local licensure board, there are specific CEUs that are needed now for particular licenses. And so when I keep talking about the continuing education, that is a must. That is a must that we have to have as social workers. And so having NASW to provide that because they know that it is a must is definitely an important factor for me. Networking actively. There's a chat on the NASW website where social workers go in and ask questions about things. Have you experienced this? Where can I find this? About experts, just different things. So that opportunity to network with other social workers. One of the member benefits, participating in local chapter activities. Once again, if you join the national chapter, you are a member of the local state chapter as well. So having the opportunity to participate in what we're doing locally. Use the career resources. If you're looking for a job, because there's an employment search engine on there as well, people that are hiring. Often when I'm hiring here in my office, I put it there on the NASW website because I know that I can get good social workers from there. So career resources. And I'm not going to go down every one of these, but these are some of the ones that I picked out as far as the maximum benefits from being a member of NASW. And one other one that I want to point out is getting involved in advocacy efforts. And going back to one of the responses that I've gotten as to why people don't want to join NASW because, what does NASW do? Well, NASW does the work to help impact the laws that govern us as citizens, that governs us as professionals, that governs us as social workers. That's the advocacy. That's it. And then once again, back to utilizing the legal resources. So those are just several of the maximizing the benefits of why you should join NASW. I want to take a quick moment. I keep mentioning the local chapter, so I want to take a quick moment just to talk about that for just a second. And Dr. Gwen, if you want to chime in on some of this while I'm talking about the local chapter, I'll welcome that. But the Alabama chapter is here to advance the agenda of the National Association of Social Workers in Alabama and to encourage and facilitate participation by all members. It is a basic administrative unit of NASW, and we work to enhance the professional growth and development of its members to create and maintain professional standards and to advance sound social policy. So that's a mouthful. But what I will say with that, the main thing that we do with our local Alabama chapter sometimes when you're thinking about something as a whole, the nation seems huge, right? So when we start by talking about what impacts me, little old Renee Ross in Montgomery, Alabama, what impacts me? Well, I know what impacts me in my clients. No Medicaid, not being able to do the practice that I want to practice and how I want to practice and how I've been educated to practice. Things like, healthcare. We keep talking about that. There's so many things that impact me as a social worker. If I were to move to another state, would I be able to work and do the job that I do here? Those are things that impact me directly. So I don't have to talk about the national association. I'm just talking about me in Alabama. How can I affect change? And how we affect change on our local level is through our local legislatures or legislators. And so that's one of the things that we are really big here with our local chapter. And on this slide, I included a map of the state, but also a map of our regions. There are 4 regions that cover Alabama, and each of those regions typically has a regional coordinator, and along with the board president, the executive directors provide educational trainings to social workers who may be in those areas. So that is something that we do locally that I'm very, very proud of. So, Dr. Gwen, I'm sorry, did you want to chime in and say anything on that part?
Yes, I'd just like to say hello to everyone before I chime in on just the regional perspective, and would also like to recognize, Renee, that the Northern representative is on the call as well, who is a part of our board, Debbie Duquette. I think she's still on, and so I certainly want to recognize Debbie as part of our board. I do want to tell you what an amazing job that you're doing providing the overall context of NASW Alabama and just the overall scope of NASW. I tell you that I shudder to think that you're not an expert. The 4 regions of the northern, eastern, western, and southern regions are all part of the NASW Alabama chapter. We normally solicit out through our membership of when those positions are vacant, those representatives are vacant. And so currently now we have the Eastern representative position that is vacant. And that's right there in Montgomery, Alabama, that covers where the chapter is located. And so I think it's really important, just with what Renee has already indicated, that members as well as those future members would become involved with NASW from the benefits perspective, what you can gain from your professional association. So we hope to be rolling out some particular events in each of the regions that people will have access to, and it will also offer CEs as well. So thank you again, Renee, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Gwen, and thank you, Debbie, for joining as well. And I did not talk to Debbie prior to this event, and so I do not want to put you on the spot. But as the Northern Regional Representative, if you would like to take a few minutes to say something about that, I would welcome that at this time as well.
Okay, hi. I'm Debbie Duquette, and so newly appointed a regional rep. So I look forward to having a chance to connect with the members in my region some more and everything, have their contact info and all that kind of thing, and get some things going. I hope that we can maybe have possibly some opportunities to do some social things where it can be a little bit of kind of like social work self-care, in addition to having opportunities to network and, of course, be those lifelong learners that we need to be. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate it. And I wanted to include a slide just about the NASW Board of Directors. So you would at least have the name. So Dr. Gwen Bowie Haynes, you just heard from her. Our president is Stephanie Manning. I don't think she's on the call this evening. Once again, I'm the president-elect, Renee Ross. Our vice president is Madeline Washington. Our secretary is Jody Long. And our regional representatives that we were just speaking of in the Northern Division, there's Debbie. In the Southern Division, there's Farron. The Eastern Division, once again, that covers Montgomery is currently vacant. And our Western Division is Dahlia John. And I'm going to go back to this map once again. So this would be our Western, Eastern here, and there's some pretty big districts. And the reason that this is so important is one of the issues that I normally get as far as feedback, as far as the local chapters and what we are or not doing is, who's doing something in Huntsville, who's doing something in Mobile, who's doing something in Tuscaloosa or wherever. That's why having regional representatives in each of these regions is so important. Because once again, I can't expect our regional representative in Mobile, Baldwin County to be responsible for Northern District. So that's why having those representatives there, and they are the ones we keep talking about doing the legwork. They are the ones that are instrumental in doing that legwork. They are the ones that are connecting with the local universities. They're the ones that are connecting with events that are happening in those areas, as far as keeping social workers informed. So having those representatives, it's imperative to the work we do. And so if anybody wants to volunteer to put their name in the hat for the Eastern representative, we would definitely love it because it's needed. It's needed. And once again, going back to social workers just not knowing what's happening in the area, social workers not knowing what's going on in the field of social work, that's why that's important. That's why that's so important.
Renee, I want to mention also that the BSW student representative position has been filled by Emily Kelly with Auburn University, Montgomery.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
so let's talk about that for just a second, why having MSW and BSW student representatives on the board is important. Because we want to know what issues the students have. We want to know as they're becoming new social workers. So based on the education that they're learning, what can they bring to us to make us better? And what can we pour into them to make them better as they begin their careers? And so having collegiate representatives is very important to our board and what we do. So thank you, Dr. Quinn. So we have talked.
Just Renee, before you move on, you talked a lot about legislative advocacy, and I just want to highlight the fact that we did have Legislative Advocacy Day for 2024. We're scheduled for March 5th, 2025 for Legislative Advocacy Day. And currently now, NASW Alabama is developing its agenda and aligning its agenda based on what we are hearing from members and also people in the community as well. And so you mentioned some things regarding healthcare. We had healthcare as part of the effort that we worked on last time. Licensure Compact was one of those areas that we included as part of our agenda. And certainly all social workers want the ability to have portability when you're moving from one state to the other rather than getting logged into just the details of filling out paperwork, and then it impacts our workforce. I do want to also mention as well that we had our conference that was held in 2024. And we are moving our conference for 2025 to Birmingham, Alabama, and that's scheduled for April 3rd and 4th of 2025. So I think it's a lot of opportunities for people to continue to embrace your profession. Keep in mind, this is your organization, your professional organization when you become a member. So if there are certain things that you want the chapter to focus in on, it's up to you to get in touch with the chapter and ensure that we are meeting some of those needs. Renee, you've done an amazing job. Again, I just want to lift up licensure prep has been one of those things that the chapter has done as well. And we will continue to pick up licensure prep as well. We do have a social work professional ethics committee that is national and also chapter based as well. So there are some opportunities professionally that sometimes we don't always take advantage of. So again, just this is a good meeting. I appreciate you all being here.
Uh, Dr. Haynes or Renee, do you all mind elaborating a little bit on the social work licensure prep? I'm not sure that many of us are aware of what that involves and entails.
When you say elaborate on licensure prep, I didn't hear the last part of your question. Would you restate that, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. I should be talking into the mic. I'm sorry, but that sounds very interesting to me, and it sounds like there's something that NASW has relative to licensure prep that that I don't know that everybody is aware of. I certainly am not aware of it myself, but there's a lot of things I have to learn, and so I just wanted to see if it was possible if you could elaborate a little bit further on that.
Yes, good question. NASW Alabama, under the prior leadership, my predecessor prior to me, Don Ellis Murray, developed an excellent licensure prep course with two individuals that provided support to Alabama social workers, and those included Dr. Don Apgar and Dr. Sophia Jingaleski. And basically, those licensure prep courses are either offered through the weekday or 2 days across the weekend. And so we hope to put some dates out there so that people can join those courses. There are fees associated with the licensure prep courses, which are different than the licensure compact for sure.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie as well. Thank you so much.
Well, my next slide was the top 5 reasons to join, but we've heard 10 top reasons to join. So I'm going to go to my next slide. And this is just a slide about the different types of memberships and the dues. So I'm not going to go through that. You actually can go to the NASW website, and it kind of tells you, you know, what membership is best suited for you and how to join and things like that, and your what the annual dues will be. So I'm not going to go through all of that. And also, when we're talking about how to join, we've given you all a lot of information about why you should join. But now it's up to you all. How do you join? So go to the NASW website, choose your membership category as to whether you're retired or student or whatever. Complete a simple online application, submit your payment, and then you will receive confirmation of your benefits. And I wanted to get to the questions portion because I figured there would be a lot of questions in the chat or with the participants. And we've got about 10 minutes left. And so I want to make sure that we do give the participants the opportunity to ask any questions that they may have or state any comments that they may have, because as part of the NASW chapter here in Alabama, we want to be better. You know, we are the chapter for you all. And so if there's any feedback that you want to give us to make us better, we want to hear that. So if there's something that you all feel like that we are not doing, or if you used to be a member of the organization and you're no longer a member, I would like to know, what can we do to get you to come back? Because there is so much work to be done. And, you know, as social workers, like I said, we're too smart, and this is something that we need. And this is something that can definitely help our profession grow. So we want to hear from you all as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment. And I'm going to, Toya, I can't see the chat. But if there are any questions, we would like to take your questions or comments at this time.
Right.
And I'll say this, in talking about why joining NASW, I will speak for myself. I have not been a member of NASW for as long as I've been a social worker. I was a member as a student, and I think my membership covered like a year after I graduated from undergrad. And like many social workers, you're new in the profession, you're not making a lot of money. It's one more thing you've got to pay for. And once again, as a new social worker, I don't know that I fully understood the benefits of it. It kind of makes me like a little uneasy now when I think back to being a new social worker and I'm just out making all the decisions in the world with just no thought behind what could happen. And I was licensed. I've been licensed for a really long time, but I just think the amount of responsibility that we put on social workers, we need to make sure that we are educated and have the knowledge to be doing what it is that we're doing. And so for me, when I joined NASW several years ago, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to be a voice. I wanted to be able to be a mentor in any way that I could. But I also wanted to kind of put my money where my mouth where my money was, or vice versa. I wanted to say I'm a part of this organization because I believe in the work that this organization does. I'm a part of this organization because they fight for me, not only on a state level, but on a national level as well. And they support the things that I work hardest for. So that was my reasoning for wanting to join NASW.
Looks like we've got a question from Chandrika. It says, how does NASW work regarding local chapter, the local chapter of your local chapter you are licensed in multiple states? So I guess how does the NASW work regarding, I guess if you are, okay, I think how does the NASW work regarding your local chapter if you are licensed in multiple states?
So I will chime in here. Currently, there is no licensure compact that's been implemented. So if you're licensed in multiple states, and say if you're in Alabama now, you will be governed by your license in Alabama. If you're licensed in Texas or Missouri or some other places, you would be governed by those states. So it wouldn't have anything to do with your local chapter. Does that make sense, Chandrika? Okay, great. Thank you.
What other questions do we have?
Um, well, that is the only question. We may have a comment, and we'll see if we have that comment. Um, but I did want to ask a little bit about um let's just say whether if you are in a part of the NASW, or let's just say that you're not a part of the NASW, how do we identify, find out, participate in the efforts that the NASW is moving concerning changes in our legislation, laws, and other concerns? Because I really personally don't think that it's been stressed enough, the NASW's part in working to organize this compact, the progression, because the last time I checked, I think we're up to maybe 20 or over 20 states or something that are in agreement that's coming onto the compact, and Alabama's in there. Um, and just the more recent legislation relative to allowing for, I'm directly impacted, for licensed clinical social workers to be able to diagnose. I mean, we need to know that this is a big deal, and I really don't think that um it's known as much as it needs to be, how much the NASW contributed to that.
So I'm definitely going to punt to Dr. Gwen on this, and everybody on this call should give her a round of applause because she has been there fighting forever. And, you know, like I said, I've been a social worker for a really long time, and
Yes.
we've been wishing and wanting to diagnose forever, and it is finally here. So, Dr. Gwen, if you could speak to us about what finally pushed it across the finish line, and also about the licensure compact, because that's something that's going to impact us all as well.
Great question. So I'd like to lift up again just the voice of leadership that was with NASW Alabama, particularly as it relates to diagnosing in Alabama. One of the challenges that we currently have at this time is that we haven't gotten the revision as of yet into the Medicaid guidance. That is a process. That is not an easy process to get done. I have been in contact with leadership. And so I believe that we will ultimately see some movement in that direction. I have submitted the written information that is needed to help support what the licensure division has already submitted to them. So kind of what I understand is that historically, because social workers have not been given the opportunity to diagnose in Alabama, there's no track record. There's no track record in terms of trust and in terms of can social workers actually diagnose for behavioral conditions and issues? Do social workers use the DSM-5? Those kinds of things, because we don't have a track record, because we haven't diagnosed. So I have pleaded with the commissioner from the standpoint that, listen, this is what we do. We're the largest behavioral health group of professionals in this country.
Wow.
What better group of people to be added to the list of professionals for reimbursement without one diagnosing through another party. And social workers are the people to actually do that. So that's kind of the short of the diagnosing. The long of the social work compact is that the social work compact came as a result of individuals who may have been in the military who moved from state to state to state based on where they might be deployed. And so because there was an apparent need to ensure that workforce for individuals who might be in the military got access to licensure from one state to the other, that's where the licensure compact came into play. The licensure compact is a really involved process. So, Troy, to just support the idea that there have been 22 states thus far who have enacted the licensure compact in their individual state or communities. One of the things that we've heard from the Council of State Governments is that we meaning social work professionals, that we have moved quicker than any other licensure compact in this country, getting people to enact legislation in their state. We only needed 7 states to actually get the compact moving in a direction, and we're at 22. So I just want to lift up that we're moving in a direction. However, we're in some states where there's a very insulated process. People don't want to see the licensure compact implemented in their states. There is a push for an alternative pathway for licensure. and the Council of State Government and also ASWB is not supporting that effort because that will put us back into the same place, and that is from one state to the other, the rules and regulations would be different. So I attended a few weeks ago the initial kickoff of the licensure compact. They do require that rules and regulations are developed. They do have to have a board to implement those rules and regulations. And so I just want to lift up and say to everyone, we're still a little ways off, a couple of years off with the licensure compact, which is portability. So don't give up because this is part of the process. And so it can't be shortened. So we got to get through this process, but be assured that NASW Alabama is at the meetings. We are having the conversations. NASW, from the national perspective, does have a representative that is part of the licensure compact. So we are moving, but it's slow. How do people hear about these kinds of things? I'm looking for future members of NASW Alabama. We send out these things through our membership. And usually that's how you're going to see news about these kinds of things. I'm also the one to get things out on socials as well. And so those are two ways to sort of hear about these things. There's the national NASW website as well, socialworkers.org, where you can access some things in this platform as well. But I do want to just continue to lift up that we're the professional social work organization that is responsible to you as social work professionals. And so we're guided by what you see as prevailing issues. But those are two very good questions, because oftentimes people think that things kind of move a little bit slow. And they are moving a little slow, but you have an advocate that's continuing to work behind the scenes.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you getting into that. And that's a very thorough response. And it really is exciting. It really is exciting to hear the movement that's being made, and that, hey, there's hope. There's hope on the way with this compact, and that we're moving progressively. You made a statement that we're the largest behavioral health group in the country. I did not know that, and that's just amazing. That's amazing, and that's something to pride. I want to ask one more question because it came up in the chat, and those of you all who if you need to leave, we are at time, so you will get your credit. We do keep track of your time here. If you came late and need to get credit, you might need to stay because we do track all of that. But I wanted to ask this question, and just wanted to know if there's anything that we need to know as social workers, Alabama social workers, concerning the lawsuit with Prefera Insurance.
Great question. NASW has been speaking to the voice of the lawsuit. We do encourage you to check out our website. NASW certainly recognizes that people want a lengthy conversation regarding the lawsuit. And one of the things that we know is that Prefera had been the sole insurance provider for NASW for some time. And so NASW simply made it possible for social work professionals to have options in terms of their insurance and a lower insurance. So the allegations that have been put out regarding NASW taking the money and sort of doing something else with the monies, and the allegations of the lawsuit, if you've had a chance to read it, those allegations will certainly be dealt with as NASW work through this process. For some of you, you may recall in 2020, 12, I think it was, there was some issues related to insurance at that time. We do encourage people to look at options. You have Perfora, and you also have the ASI insurance that's available to people as well. And so it's sort of for some members, what we've heard is that, hey, so I have Perfora and I want to stay with Perfora. That is your choice on how you renew, but we encourage you to look at those options out there to see what might be available to you as professionals. So that's about the short of the lawsuit that was put out with a video. NASW has put a frequently asked question out there as well for people to be able to look at and make an informed decision.
Okay. All right. Well, that sums it up. I think we've got the answers to our questions tonight. We want to just thank everyone who participated. We want to thank, starting off with Renee, for presenting and agreeing to come to talk to social workers of Alabama. This is a big deal because we really need to be on the insides of knowing what's going on. And Dr. Haynes, we thank you for your feedback concerning what you've been doing on the ground and the work that you've been putting in for us that we are reaping the benefits from. A lot of times we don't get to see the hidden figures that are making all of this happen. And so it's really a pleasure to have you here as well. And we thank you, Debbie Duquette, as well, for joining, and all of the rest of Social Workers Alabama and anyone else that has joined us tonight. We thank you for coming out. We hope to see you on next month, where we will be having another training. And until then, you all have a blessed night. Y'all take care and keep a heads up for those CEUs. All right. Bye-bye.